The US has the most billionaires of any country in the world, counting 902 in total as of 2025, a number that very well may have gone up by the time you watch this video. Today, we're bringing you the richest person in every state, ranked from poorest, relatively speaking that is, to richest. Number 50. Alaska, Leonard Hyde and Jonathan Rubini. These Anchorage-dwelling real estate magnates have made their fortune mostly via commercial real estate developer company JL Properties. Hyde's specialty wasn't always real estate. He has a degree in engineering from Vanderbilt University and worked as an oil and gas engineer for Arco and a commercial real estate broker before starting his own firm. If you live in Anchorage, you're definitely familiar with some of the buildings Hyde and Rubini operate, including ConocoPhillips Towers and the appropriately named JL Tower. How much are they worth? Well, they aren't quite billionaires, but they're close, with each having made around $400 million. Number 49. Delaware, Elizabeth Snyder. If you've ever bought skiing or hiking gear for your new outdoorsy hobby you tried once and never again, you've probably given money to Elizabeth Snyder, or more specifically to her family business, Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex is a lightweight and waterproof fabric used in a lot of outdoors and activewear. It was first discovered by Elizabeth's now-deceased brother Bob by accident. While working as a chemical engineer, he was trying to stretch Teflon and ended up with Gore-Tex. Today, they have over 7,000 patents and $4.5 billion in yearly sales, which has left Elizabeth just shy of being a billionaire with a net worth of $800 million. Number 48. West Virginia, Brad Smith. Even though his name sounds like a bad spy alias, Brad Smith is a very real and very rich person. He made his fortune as the CEO of Intuit between 2008 and 2018, a company you may recognize as the makers of TurboTax, QuickBooks, and other software you hate but have to use. Since Intuit's revenue doubled while Smith was CEO between 2008 and 2018, he got a good chunk of money for his work, including a whole bunch of shares, some of which he sold for $300 million. Forbes estimates that he still holds almost 1 million shares, which is where the majority of his fortune lies, getting him very close to billionaire status with a net worth of $900 million. Number 47. North Dakota, Gary Tharaldson. Now we come to our first true billionaire. Gary Tharaldson is a proudly self-made man who made most of his $1.2 billion fortune in hotels, starting with the purchase of a Valley City Super 8 motel in 1982. He continued to build and own hotels in regional markets, eventually coming to operate over 480 in total, which averages out to around one new hotel per month for 40 years. In 2006, Tharaldson sold 130 hotels to Goldman Sachs Property Group, netting him $1.2 billion. Ever the entrepreneur, he reinvested most of his profits into even more commercial and residential developments, and also built an ethanol facility in Fargo. Number 46. Alabama, Jimmy Rain. Known locally as the Yellow Fella, Jimmy Rain built his $1.5 billion fortune in lumber as the CEO of Great Southern Wood Preserving. Rain's company makes decks, fences, and a whole host of other finished lumber products. Along with his brother, they took over the family business in the 1970s, which at the time was worth around $22,000. They transformed it into the giant moneymaker it is today, raking in $2 billion a year. The reason he's known as the Yellow Fella? That's the name of his cowboy persona in TV commercials. Number 45. New Mexico, Ron Corio. Ron Corio has the distinction of not only being New Mexico's richest person, but also being the state's first ever billionaire. He was the CEO of Array Technologies up until 2022, a solar tracking system company he founded in 1989. Because if there's one thing New Mexico has a lot of, it's glaring, endless sunlight. Solar tracking is a technology that pivots solar panels to follow the trajectory of the sun, maximizing the amount of energy they're able to collect and generate. A few months after the company went public, he sold his 38% share for $1.2 billion before tax. Today, Corio is worth $1.7 billion. Number 44. Vermont, John Abel. John Abel made his $2 billion fortune in healthcare as co-founder of Boston Scientific. His company, established in 1979, develops medical devices that offer patients less invasive treatments. Abel has also done some noble things with his fortune, donating $130 million throughout his Argosy Foundation to a lot of charitable causes. He also funded an expedition to find his father's final resting place. Abel's father disappeared during World War II while commanding a submarine, which the billionaire finally found in 2007. Number 43, South Dakota. T. Denny Sanford. Unlike most billionaires, T. Denny Sanford has made it clear he'd prefer to die broke. To that end, he's given away over $1 billion of his fortune, taking it down from $3.4 billion in 2022 to $2.1 billion today. The beneficiary of this generosity is Sanford Health, which owns 43 nonprofit hospitals. Sanford made his money via First Premier Bank. It has just 17 branches in South Dakota and specializes in offering credit cards, particularly MasterCards, to high-risk borrowers. Number 42, Minnesota's Glenn Taylor. Though Glenn Taylor is worth $2.9 billion today, he wasn't always rich. In fact, he grew up on a poor rural farm in Minnesota, making money by doing odd jobs on his neighbors' farms for $1 an hour. He then worked at a wedding business throughout college and eventually made enough, along with loans, to buy them out for $2 million in 1975. He renamed the business Taylor Corp, of course, and took it in a totally different direction, transforming it into a printing business. Now, instead of dealing with flower arrangements and DJs, the corporation specializes in printing services, marketing, and branding for companies like McDonald's, Macy's, Google, and Best Buy. Even so, Taylor admits he still prefers farming. Quote, "I like the garden and the farm stuff because I'm by myself, and it's the opposite of what I do all day long. Sit in meetings, solve problems, listen to people, hear complaints, and deal with bad things." Number 41, Idaho. Frank Vandersloot. Vandersloot is yet another billionaire who grew up poor, actually running his family farm while his dad worked for the railroad. When he went to university, he lived in a laundromat to make ends meet. However, life is very different for Frank today. He's the owner of Melaleuca, which makes over 450 wellness, nutrition, and cleaning products, and has a customer base of over 1 million consumers each month. As a result, Vandersloot is worth $3.1 billion and owns over 148,000 acres in his home state of Idaho, as well as Utah and Montana. Number 40, Mississippi. Thomas and James Duff. The first brothers on the list, James and Thomas Duff, took over their dad's shop, the Southern Tire Mart, and gradually built up a company now called Duff Capital Investors. They took over their father's original store, Southern Tire Mart, and after it was sold in 1998, they bought it back in 2003, turning it into a billion-dollar business. They also expanded Duff Capital to include Southern Insurance Group, Frozen Food Express, and KLLM Trucking, among many, many other business ventures. In 2024, the company raked in over $5 billion, and the brothers have a net worth of $3.3 billion each. Number 39. Rhode Island, Jonathan Nelson. After a stroll around the yachts and properties of Newport, Rhode Island, you might find it hard to choose who the region's richest resident is. But the answer is Jonathan Nelson, owner of a $3.4 billion fortune made through private equity. Nelson founded his firm, Providence Equity Partners, in 1989 and remained CEO until 2021, thanks to strategic investments in over 170 companies and smart sales like that of scuba diving certification company Patty for $700 million. Nelson is doing pretty well for himself. Number 38. Maine, Susan Alfond. Susan Alfond and her 3 siblings made their money from the company started by their father, Dexter Shoe Company. Her father, Harold Alfond, made a wise decision by selling his company to Warren Buffett in 1993. Don't worry, we'll get into Buffett's fortune later on the list, in exchange for stock in Berkshire Hathaway. So now, his kids are now holding onto some of the most valuable stock on the planet, which is why Susan Alfond has a net worth of $3.8 billion. Number 37. Utah, Gail Miller. Car dealerships are more often associated with sleazy salesmen than billionaires, but turns out you can make great money with the right ones. Just ask Gail Miller, who has built a fortune of $4.4 billion through car dealerships. Gail and her husband Larry bought a single Toyota dealership and used it to eventually build the 8th largest auto dealer group in the US. For a while, the couple also owned the Utah Jazz basketball team, before selling it to another billionaire in 2020 for $1.66 billion. Larry unfortunately died in 2009, but Gail continued to develop the company until she sold it to Asbury Automotive in 2021 for $3.2 billion. Today, she has another dream, bringing a baseball team to represent her hometown of Salt Lake City. Number 36. South Carolina. Robert Faith. Though Robert Faith initially wanted to be a petroleum engineer, studying it at the University of Oklahoma, he graduated during a recession, leading to a lack of jobs in oil. Faith went on to earn an MBA from Harvard Business School instead. It was the right choice, because after getting his first job as a real estate developer, he is now the founder and CEO of Greystar, a global real estate firm that operates over $320 billion in real estate on 5 continents. As a result, Faith personally has a net worth of $5 billion as of 2025. Number 35. Maryland. Annette Lerner. 95-year-old Annette Lerner is worth $5.3 billion thanks to real estate company Lerner Enterprises. The business started when she lent $250 to her husband, Ted Lerner, in 1952, who dreamed of owning a real estate company. Setting aside the fact that $250 was a significant amount for real estate in 1952, Ted quickly developed his company into one of the largest owners of real estate in Washington, D.C. Since his death in February 2023, his estate, including the Washington Nationals baseball team, has been left to Annette and his children. Number 34. John Overdeck. John Overdeck, co-founder of Two Sigma, is worth a staggering $7.4 billion. Launched in 2001, Two Sigma is a New York-based hedge fund that uses artificial intelligence, among other cutting-edge methods, to predict stock market trends. And clearly, it works. In 2016 alone, Overdeck earned $375 million. Just a year later, the firm was managing $41 billion in assets, and Overdeck ranked among the highest-paid hedge fund managers in the world. But success didn't come without friction. Over time, tensions grew between Overdeck and his equally wealthy co-founder, David Siegel, who also worth $7.4 billion. Eventually, both men stepped back from day-to-day operations and now serve as co-chairs of the company. Guess money can't buy you friends. Number 33. Montana. Dennis Washington. Another self-made man on our list. A surprising amount of the poorer billionaires are. Washington had a tough childhood. He lived in government housing, shined shoes for extra money, and contracted polio at age 8, which kept him in hospitals and clinics for over a year. He got his first real job greasing equipment in Alaska, which led to a love of machinery. Eventually, he got a $30,000 loan and started Washington Construction. This has evolved into Washington Companies, a group of businesses including copper mining, marine transportation like C-SPAN Corporation, the owner of over 150 container ships, and heavy equipment. As of 2025, Washington has a net worth of $7.4 billion. Number 32. Ohio. Les Wexner. You may not associate Victoria's Secret with a 5'6" man in his 80s, but perhaps you should, because Les Wexner is the man who built up the brand when he bought it in 1982. Before that, it was just a small chain of San Francisco lingerie shops about to go bankrupt. Wexner got his start with a $5,000 loan from his aunt in 1963 to open The Limited, which focused on selling only fast-moving basic shirts and pants. He then kept expanding until forming the company L Brands, which at one point oversaw The Limited, Express, La Senza, Victoria's Secret, and Bath & Body Works. However, the individual companies were eventually either sold off or closed, and L Brands was rebranded as just Bath & Body Works. Wexner still has a fortune of $7.9 billion to his name. Number 31. Kentucky. Tamara Gustafsson. If you've ever thrown all the useless stuff in your basement to a storage unit, you probably have Tamara Gustafsson's family to thank. Her father, B. Wayne Hughes, co-founded Public Storage in 1972. Today, Tamara owns 10% of the company after working there for 20 years, and also sits on the board. However, she has also diversified her interests. She's the director of a foundation focused on childhood leukemia, and like any obscenely rich person, now the owner of racehorse breeding farm Spendthrift Farm, which has produced 10 Kentucky Derby winners. Gustafsson's personal wealth is currently valued at $8.3 billion. Number 30. Missouri, John Morris. Have you been to a Bass Pro Shop? Even if you're not a fisherman, the chain is famous enough that you've likely heard of them. Well, its founder and CEO, John Morris, is the richest person in Missouri thanks to the store's success, with a net worth of $9.1 billion. The company had very humble beginnings. Morris first sold fish out of the back of his father's liquor store in Springfield. Today, Bass Pro Group has bought out both rival chain Cabela's and White River Marine Group to manufacture fishing boats as well. Number 29. North Carolina, James Goodnight. James Goodnight was ahead of his time. In 1976, he and John Saul founded analytics software company SAS, at a time when most people weren't even sure what software was or did. Goodnight had a PhD from North Carolina State University in statistics and worked there as a faculty member before coming up with his company idea. SAS sells software to analyze agricultural data and makes around $3.3 billion in revenue every year. Goodnight currently has a net worth of around $9.3 billion. SAS also has a good reputation among employees. The company offers daycare, on-site pharmacies, and sports leagues, among other incentives and programs. In fact, it ranked number 1 on the Great Place to Work Institute multinational list. So, if you're looking for a new job, might be worth it. Number 28. Louisiana, Todd Graves. Todd Graves' success story is a great lesson in never give up, no matter what they tell you. When he was in college, he had an idea. He wanted to open up a restaurant that would only serve chicken finger meals. His professor thought it was so bad, he gave him the lowest grade in the class. His local bank had a similar reaction and denied him financing. Graves was undeterred. He worked as a boilermaker and salmon fisher, saved up money, and started Raising Cane's in 1996. The company has 800 locations in over 40 states, and Graves' personal net worth is $9.5 billion. We assume banks are much happier to speak with him now. Number 27. New Hampshire, Rick Cohen. You know you're rich when you're the owner of a company that makes $35 billion in yearly revenue, and that's not the biggest source of your wealth. Rick Cohen is the owner of C&S Wholesale Grocers, but most of his family wealth comes from Symbotic, a warehouse automation firm. C&S Wholesale Grocers, founded in 1918 by Cohen's grandfather, and Symbotic came about as a result of the family trying to solve their own warehouse distribution issues. And now, it's the bigger moneymaker. Today, Symbotic is partnered with Walmart and provides it with fully automated distribution centers. Cohen is the CEO and currently worth around $9.7 billion. Number 26. Indiana, Carl Cook. Cook Group, headquartered in Bloomington, Indiana, manufactures medical devices. The company was founded in 1963 by Bill and Gail Cook in their apartment. One of the first devices Bill ever made was a cardiovascular catheter made with materials you would never want near your heart. Bill spent $1,500 on a soldering iron, blowtorch, and plastic tubing to put the catheters together. When he died in 2011, his son Carl Cook took over the business. He has expanded Cook Group since Bill's death and is now worth $9.9 billion. Number 25. Hawaii, Pierre Omidyar. An immigrant success story, Pierre Omidyar was born to Iranian parents in France before moving to the US at 6 years old. In 1995, he founded a company you may know as eBay, making millions and then billions of dollars in relatively short order. He also bought PayPal in 2002. Omidyar and his wife are a pretty generous couple. Not only did they gift a minimum of 9.6 million eBay shares per year from 2005 to 2020, but they've also given over $1.5 billion to nonprofits and impact investments. The billionaire has several investments in different industries, including resort properties in the US and Mexico and First Look Media, which he founded. That's why his net worth is a healthy $10 billion. Number 24. Iowa. Harry Stein. Perhaps it's no surprise that Iowa's richest person made his $10.2 billion fortune in agriculture. Harry Stein was born to a farming family, and from a young age was fascinated by seeds. This would serve him well, as he eventually founded Stein Seed, creating varieties that would yield more crops or be resistant to pesticides and disease. Today, he licenses a lot of his seed genetics to massive companies like Monsanto and Syngenta. Though he had some difficulties due to dyslexia and mild autism, Stein had a great talent for math and data, which helped him build his enormous empire. The billionaire never forgot his roots, donating to Iowa institutions like Drake University and Spurgeon Manor Nursing Facility. Number 23. Georgia. Dan Cathy, Bubba Cathy, and Trudy Cathy White. The three kids of Truett Cathy made their $10.9 billion fortunes each by inheriting Chick-fil-A from their father. Truett founded Chick-fil-A in 1967, and it quickly expanded over the entire southern U.S., gradually infiltrating other regional markets as well. The Cathy kids worked in their dad's restaurants growing up, including cleaning and doing odd jobs. Dan Cathy became CEO in 2013, and eventually his son, Andrew Cathy, took over in 2021. Number 22. Colorado. Philip Anschutz. Sports fans probably best know Philip Anschutz as the owner of the Los Angeles Kings hockey team and the owner of LA's Crypto.com arena. However, he built his $15.3 billion fortune in a whole lot of different industries over time, including oil, railroads, telecom, real estate, and entertainment. Anschutz Entertainment Group has more than 70 arenas and concert venues around the world. Philip has also gotten more green over the years. Anschutz is currently building one of the world's biggest wind farms on 320,000 acres in Wyoming. Number 21. Arizona. Ernest Garcia II. One of the most famous billionaire college dropouts, Ernest Garcia left the University of Arizona to become a stockbroker, and then got involved with real estate development. However, he made most of his fortune as the owner of Drive Time Automotive, the fourth largest used car retailer in the US. He was also one of the biggest shareholders of Carvana, which was actually founded by his son, the unimaginatively named Ernest Garcia III. How much is he worth today? $16.8 billion as of April 2025, a more than doubling of his fortune since the year before. Number 20. Oklahoma. Harold Hamm. Harold Hamm grew up as the 13th child of, well, too many, honestly, in an Oklahoma sharecropping family. He started work at a gas station at age 16 and then started his own trucking company. But being from Oklahoma, he knew the real wealth in the area lay in oil. So, in 1979, he took out a loan and drilled his first well. His company expanded quickly, especially when he was the first person to use fracking practices as an extraction method. Though now controversial, fracking was a completely innovative, transformative process back in the 1990s. As of 2024, Hamm's Today Continental Company produces 400,000 barrels of oil and gas per day, giving Hamm and his family a healthy fortune of $18.5 billion. Number 19. Connecticut. Steve Cohen. Another sports owner billionaire, Steve Cohen is a multi-billionaire that may be more well-known as the owner of the New York Mets, rather than for his actual job. He's now worth $21.3 billion as a result of him managing Point72 Asset Management, a $35 billion hedge fund firm. Before that, he oversaw SAC Capital, though it was one of the most successful hedge funds in the history of the US. However, it shut down in 2013 after insider trading charges, and Cohen paid $1.8 billion in penalties, the largest ever fine for insider trading offenses. Number 18. Wisconsin. John Menard Jr. John Menard Jr. grew up on a Wisconsin farm as one of 8 children, going by this list a pretty surefire way to become a billionaire, and is now worth $21.4 billion thanks to Menards. What is Menards, you ask? If you live in the middle of the US, mostly between Wyoming to West Virginia, you've probably seen it around. Menards is a home improvement store that competes with Home Depot and Lowe's, and has about $13 billion in sales per year. Number 17. Tennessee, Thomas Frist Jr. A former Air Force flight surgeon, Thomas Frist Jr. continued working in the medical field later in life, but with a significantly higher income. Along with his father, he founded Hospital Corporation of America in 1968, which owns over 186 hospitals and 2,400 other healthcare sites in the US and the UK. His idea was to apply economies of scale to hospitals to develop better and more affordable healthcare. If one company owned multiple hospitals, they could get better deals on equipment and supplies. Worth $27.1 billion, Frist Jr. is a big philanthropist, contributing money to his alma mater, Vanderbilt University, as well as Princeton, Washington, and various high schools. Number 16. Michigan, Daniel Gilbert. Daniel Gilbert co-founded the mortgage lending company that would make him rich by selling pizzas in college, earning the whole $5,000 needed to start a business back then. Today, the business, known as Quicken Loans, has given him a net worth of $27.3 billion. Gilbert took the money and purchased the Cleveland Cavaliers basketball team, also investing $5.6 billion in downtown Detroit to purchase and fix up decaying buildings in his home state. Number 15. Nevada, Miriam Adelson. To no one's surprise, the richest woman and person in the state of Nevada made her fortune in casinos. Sheldon Adelson's widow, Miriam Adelson, is currently worth $27.6 billion. Adelson was the CEO of Las Vegas Sands, which also has casinos in Singapore, Macau, and other international destinations. Miriam also has a majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks. However, she started life in a totally unrelated field, as a trained physician specializing in addiction issues. That's perhaps why she and her husband founded the Sheldon G. Adelson Research Clinic in Las Vegas for opioid treatment. Number 14. Massachusetts, Abigail Johnson. Abigail Johnson's grandfather, Edward Johnson II, founded mutual fund Fidelity Investments in Boston way back in 1946. Abigail took it over in 2014 and has a 28.5% stake in the firm. Under her leadership, Fidelity has thrived and is also one of the first mutual fund firms to embrace cryptocurrencies. Johnson has made such a name for herself that not only is she now worth $28.6 billion, but American Banker recognized her as the second most powerful woman in finance worldwide in 2024. She remains the first and only woman to serve on the Financial Services Forum. Number 13, Oregon, Phil Knight. Sports apparel giant Nike was founded by former University of Oregon track star Phil Knight. In 1964, Knight teamed up with his coach, Bill Bowerman, to start a company named Blue Ribbon Sports. They just did it with a $500 investment each. The company would eventually become Nike. Phil Knight retired as Nike chairman in 2016, but he and his wife still have 20% of the company, which made $51 billion as of 2024. That makes Knight's current net worth $28.8 billion. However, the couple is as generous as they are rich. They've given almost $4 billion to charity through the Knight Foundation. Number 12. Illinois with Lucas Walton. The first of 2 Waltons on this list, Lucas Walton made his fortune, $35.3 billion as of 2025 to be exact, by being an heir to the Walmart empire. His grandfather, Sam Walton, founded Walmart on July 2, 1962, in Rogers, Arkansas. After Lucas's father died in a plane crash in 2005, he inherited 1/3 of his father's estate, which included stakes in Walmart and $26 billion in assets. Lucas decided to use his funds to found a company called Builders Vision, which has given over $3 billion to organizations and innovators focused on sustainability and building a better future. Number 11. Wyoming, John Mars. Did you know that candy giant Mars also owns food and pet brands like Ben's Original Rice, Pedigree, and Whiskas? In fact, it's such a big company that multiple of the founder's heirs appear on this list, including John Mars. His grandfather Frank founded the company in 1911, and Mars released its first truly hit product, the Milky Way bar, in 1923, inspired by a popular milkshake. It was marketed as chocolate malted milk in a candy bar. John went to Yale, served in the U.S. Army, and then joined the family business. His father tested him by making him fly to the other side of the world, Australia, and set up a pet food company in a market he knew nothing about. It must have worked, as he's now worth $40.2 billion. Number 10. Virginia. Jacqueline Mars. Another heir of the Mars fortune, Jacqueline Mars is John Mars' sister, and also worth $40.2 billion thanks to a combination of candy and pet food. She worked for the Mars company for 20 years and now owns 1/3 of it. Like most rich people, she enjoys being on various boards. She's on the board of the National Archives and used to be on the board of Washington National Opera. In addition, she owns Stonehall Farm, which specializes in organic farming, horse training, horse breeding, and other billionaire hobbies in her resident state of Virginia. Number 9. Pennsylvania. Jeff Yass. Jeff Yass shot up the top billionaire list when his personal net worth more than doubled between 2024 and 2025, from $27.6 to $59 billion. He started his career in a very unorthodox way, as a pro gambler. Eventually, after winning a fair amount of money, he started trading on the Philadelphia Stock Exchange and co-founded Susquehanna International Group, a now huge Wall Street trading firm, with partners in 1987. Yass firmly believes his gambling experience helped his company succeed. So much so that to this day, Susquehanna trains traders using poker tournaments to fine-tune their decision-making skills. Number 8. Kansas. Charles Cook. The surviving sibling of the Cook Empire, Charles Cook has a net worth of $67.5 billion. He has been the chairman of Cook Incorporated, a company started by his father Fred Cook since 1967. Cook Incorporated is the second largest private company in the U.S., making over $125 billion annually, mostly from pipelines, chemicals, software, and Dixie cups. What Cook may be most well known for, however, is his political influence. Through the hybrid super PAC Americans for Prosperity, the Cook brothers have spent over $257 million supporting conservative candidates since 2004. Number 7. New York. Michael Bloomberg. The former mayor of New York City, Michael Bloomberg, is worth $104.7 billion. Bloomberg worked at Wall Street investment bank Salomon Brothers for 15 years and was later fired. It turned out to be the best thing that could have happened to him, as he then co-founded media company Bloomberg LP and now owns 88% of it. The New York-based billionaire is also very generous. He has donated $17.4 billion to causes including gun safety, climate change, and education. He recently made headlines for personally stepping up to fund the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change after the U.S. withdrew its government funding. Bloomberg plans to donate his stake in Bloomberg LP to his charities upon death. Number 6. Arkansas. Jim Walton. Another Walmart heir, Jim Walton is the youngest son of founder Sam Walton and also worth $106.9 billion, making him by far the richest person in Arkansas, a state where the median income is $58,873. Jim sits on Walmart's board and is the chairman of the related Arvest Bank Group. Walmart may be the world's largest employer with over 2.1 million workers, but many of its employees earn such low wages that taxpayers end up footing the bill. According to Forbes, about $6.2 billion is spent annually on public assistance like food stamps, Medicaid, and subsidized housing. Number 5. Washington. Bill Gates. As one of the original Silicon Valley geniuses, Bill Gates needs no introduction. He's the co-founder of Microsoft, the software company that designs most of the world's office applications, and yet still hasn't found a way to intuitively move an image in Word. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard to start his company, inspiring millions of college kids to believe that if they just walked out of their lecture halls, they too could become billionaires. Results of that experiment remain to be seen. Today, Gates has less than 1% stake in Microsoft after donating most of his shares to his philanthropic organization, the Gates Foundation, to the tune of $59 billion. However, he still has a $106.3 billion fortune to his name. Number 4. Nebraska. Warren Buffett. Most billionaires buy mega yachts and mansions with gift-wrapping rooms when they make it big. Not Warren Buffett, though. The Oracle of Omaha, as he is named for his wise investing decisions, still lives in the home he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He also has a vacation home in Laguna Beach and some farmland, but that's pretty much it. For a man worth $161.8 billion, that may seem surprising, but Buffett isn't too interested in possessions. As he said in 2017, "Possessions possess you at a point. I don't like a $100 meal as well as I like a hamburger from McDonald's. That's just the way I'm put together." Buffett bought his first stock at age 11, which we're not sure is even legal, and started filing taxes at 13. Meanwhile, most of us still need QuickBooks, an accountant, and a stern letter from the IRS to correctly file our taxes today. Buffett is also very charitable, having given over $62 billion through his Kids Foundation and the Gates Foundation. Number 3. California, Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, known as the head of Meta, is the richest person in California, a state teeming with rich people thanks to his $202.6 billion fortune. Zuckerberg started Facebook at 19 years old in 2004. He took the company public in 2012 and then changed its brand to Meta when he tried introducing the metaverse to the world as the future of technology. Unfortunately, the world mostly responded with a collective shrug and continued going about its business. However, Zuckerberg is still insanely wealthy, and he and his wife Priscilla pledged $3 billion to try and end or cure all diseases by 2100. Number 2. Florida. Jeff Bezos. Yet another man who needs no introduction. Jeff Bezos founded Amazon in 1994. He now owns just under 10% of it. He also made wise investments, like becoming an angel investor to Google in 1998. Thanks to those business and investment decisions, Bezos now has a net worth of $207.7 billion. He's also one of the many billionaires obsessed with space travel, as he founded Blue Origin, a rocket-producing company, and went up to space himself in July of 2021. Number 1. Texas. Elon Musk. It's hard to keep track of Elon Musk's wealth, as it went up from $195 billion in mid-2024 to $380.9 billion today, making him not only the richest man in Texas, but the richest man in the world. Musk is the owner of Tesla, one of the first popular electric vehicle companies, SpaceX, The Boring Company, which constructs tunnels, Neuralink, which is trying to implant chips into people, and X, or as most people still refer to it today, Twitter. The X name is actually a nod to one of Musk's first companies, as when he co-founded PayPal it was originally called X.com. But Musk's first ever success was Zip2, a software company that created online city guides at the dawn of the internet, and eventually sold to Compaq for $307 million. In 2025, Musk has taken a prominent position in US politics as the head of Doge, indirectly causing big fluctuations in his wealth. So it's entirely possible by the time you view this video, his exact net worth will be very different. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. Really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MatPack.